Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. It's been I think a few days since the last episode, and I have a an offering for you, and I hope you get something out of it as always. So this is a poem by William Stafford. I'm a very big fan of William Stafford and many poets, whether from America or any part of the world, or part of the soul, should I say, part of the human soul that shares something deep and meaningful. I had the pleasure and honor today of speaking to a group of youth in the country, and I started the whole talk with a poem by Rumi. So it was Rumi during the daytime, and now it's William Stafford during the night. I had originally selected another poem, but just as I was about to start this particular offering, one of William's other poems decided to jump the queue and, and come forth. So I'm not going to deny that, and I'm just going to roll with it and see where it goes. So this one's called A Story That Could Be True. If you were exchanged in the cradle and your real mother died without ever telling you the story, then no one knows your name, and somewhere in the world your father is lost and needs you, but you are far away. He can never find you. How true you are, how ready. When the great wind comes and the robberies of the rain, you stand on the corner shivering. The people who go by, you wonder at their calm. They miss the whisper that runs any day in your mind. Who are you really, wanderer? And the answer you have to give, no matter how dark and cold the world around you is, maybe I am king. I love this poem for so many things. It's a poem that has so much in it. But if I can just take it from the top and maybe work my way down and see where we go. So it starts off with, if you were exchanged in the cradle and your mother died without ever telling the story, then no one would know your name. Let's just imagine that for a second, right? So a lot of our identity, or our mental construct of our identity, comes from the fact that we are the son of such and such. This is my mother, this is my father, this is their mother, this is their father, this is where we come from. A lot of the currency that we put on our identity with regards to who we are comes from who we know is our mom or our dad. But this is the question that invites you to put yourself in a situation where you don't know who your mom is. You were exchanged in the cradle and something happened to your mom, and you don't know who you are. You don't know what name they wanted to give you or had given you. And you live your life not knowing that. And if you were in that situation, you would be wandering around. And a good question to ask, I suppose, or a question I ask myself is, if I didn't know who my mom was, or if I didn't know who my dad was, would I turn out to be who I am today? Now, of course, we're not dismissing the role of parenthood and the wonderful journey, the difficult journey that basically entails. But this is a discussion on identity. Would you be who you are, regardless of who your parents were, or who you were brought up to be by them? I find that idea very interesting, because if we go by the idea that everybody comes into this world gifted. Everybody comes in with a very specific pattern, and if that is the case, then if you genuinely live your life in an honest fashion, you'll eventually, I suppose, be who you were supposed to be. Somebody who was born a poet will end up being a poet. Doesn't matter who his dad is or his mom is, or who he thinks his mom is, or who he thinks his dad is. If a person is born with a natural inclination towards physical activity, then their life should revolve around the physical activity, regardless of who their mom is or who their dad is. You will see it very often in families where everybody's an employee and all of a sudden they have a son or a daughter who's an entrepreneur. A family of factory workers has a child who wants to study ballet and become a world famous and accomplished ballet dancer. Who we are, or should I say the genius of who we are, the authenticity of who we are, what we're really good at, what we're born to do, comes with us. It comes with us when we arrive, regardless of who our parents are. Sometimes, very often, it's contrary to our parents and our family's expectation to be the individual we are. So that's the first part. So even if I believe if you follow your calling, if you follow your passion, your love for something, you'll end up being who you are, regardless of what your name was, who gave you your name. I mean, I was given the name Wael. I think that name suits me. I like it, but if it wasn't my name, would I still be who I am today? And my answer to that is, if I live my life according to the construct and the gift that was given to me upon arrival, then I would be that. And then everything else is an added bonus. The second part of the poem, William goes, he can never find how true you are, how ready, when the great wind comes and the robberies of the rain, you stand on the corner shivering. The people who go by, you wonder at their calm. This particular line is, I think, super powerful for me. You stand on the corner shivering. And before that, it's the robberies of the rain. So in our life, drama happens, right? We go through rains, we go through storms, and we get robbed. We often feel like something has been taken illegally or unrightfully or immorally. But here we are, stuck in the rain, shivering in the corner. And you watch people go by, and they're in another world, really. They're very calm, and you're petrified. You're shivering, and they haven't the faintest idea of what you're going through. And the last part of the poem here, where he says, they miss the whisper that runs any day in your mind. Who are you really, wanderer? And the answer you have to give, no matter how dark and cold the world around you is, maybe I am king. Man, I love that. Man, I love that. And I think the reason I love that is it's such a powerful feeling to know that you are a king, you are a queen. You may live in a ghetto, you may live in really harsh circumstances for whatever reason, but there is something royal inside you, something that elevates your whole world. And I think people that live a very harsh life, whether they're in prison or have family in prison, people that are downtrodden, people that are made to believe through a systematic environment that they're nothing, that they're less than nothing, especially young people. And I'm saying young people today because I just had a wonderful experience speaking to a group of young people that I had the privilege to speak to. And when you see a young person that doesn't believe in themselves, they are genuinely lost, and they're wandering. They're wandering the earth, trying to figure out who the hell they are, and what they need to do. And the question is, who are you really? Who are you really, wanderer? Are you the son of your mum? Are you the son of your dad? Is that what you are? Who are you really? What are you here to do? What have you got for this world? That is a really heavy question, and no matter how, as William says, no matter how dark life gets, and we live in really dark times. I've said this before. I don't mean to be gloomy or negative. It's just how I think many of us see it with the environment and with refugees, with displacement. In my part of the world, it's so painful to see ancient old civilizations like Iraq, Yemen, Syria. I'm talking about the people. I'm not referring to any of the regimes and the political parties that rule those terrain. But when I see an ancient, beautiful culture like those suffer, and the young especially just lose all hope, I think a poem like this would really help for any youth in Iraq, for any youth in Syria, for any Palestinian youth, for any youth in trouble, downtrodden, whether they're Native American, African American, any group of people really that feel that a great injustice has happened to them, and they are lost and they are wondering. I think the thought that maybe you are a king, but you just lost your path. Maybe you are a queen. It's just that you never gave yourself that self-worth. I think that is a wonderful thought. And I invite all of you to play with the idea. Play with the idea that you don't know who your mom is, you don't know who your dad is. And imagine how you would turn out. Let's just say you had sustenance, people helped you survive, but you weren't the son of who you know you were the son of. Would your life be any different within yourself? Would you discover who you are a little better if you detached from the notion of you being the son or the daughter of a particular person? Because when you come into this world, although you do come obviously through a parent, a mum and a dad, you are an individual, and it's the individuality that you have that is the real celebration of your existence here, and your royal self, your genius, your calling is something that we all need, especially when it's rainy, dark, and we're shivering. We're shivering on the pavement of life as it rains down, asking ourselves, maybe we're king, maybe we're queen, and maybe we have something very special to do. And that's it from me for now, inshallah. I wish you well. I wish you a royal discovery of who you are, and once you have that, we all win, as many of the wise people say. If any of you have any topics that you want me to speak about, please feel free to send me a message, and I'll see what I can do. Until then, I hope to see you very soon, inshallah.